Hey Ella,
Hello, RC. How are you?
I am doing okay. I'm ready for summer camp, ready to
You look like
go,
you're ready for summer camp.
ready for summer camp. It's all ready to go.
All you're missing is the little bit of sunscreen,
The little bit of
at the end
sunscreen,
of your nose or
the little bit of
something.
sunscreen. We need to go actually backwards cap today for summer.
Oh, there you go.
There we go, summer camp, summer camp.
That's some 90s. That's 90s role
90s
playing
summer
there.
camp. Hi everyone, it's good to see all of you. Ella, it's been a long weekend for me and her. We've been super busy working all weekend, so we were like, I feel the energy when a live is about to happen because I can feel Ella like materializing, So ready for her to go. So
I'm excited about this one.
I'm excited. I'm really excited about this. This is going to be really cool. And at first, I'm just like insanely excited at how these slice games have just taken off, and you guys are having such a good time with them. I hear from so many
Mhm.
like different fans that they're like why they like the slice games, and it's so funny because one of my favorite things that comes out of like one of the common refrains that comes out of like, oh, why do you like the summer games, the slice games, is because they get to do a lot of character development and figure out their characters as part of this, which I think is like super cool, you know. So
Yeah.
I thought that's awesome, and you've been doing such a great job. She puts her whole heart and soul into this. Okay, I just want you to know this.
Oh.
She puts a lot into these slice games. So anyway, you
I
just
do, and
awesome.
I do it because you guys like them so much. I mean, obviously, I'd put my heart and soul into everything, but I do it because of how much you guys like it too, and that makes me really happy. So I gotta, I gotta put my heart into it.
She
So
does, but that's everything that Ella does. She puts it into everything. So you know.
no.
So, anyways, okay. So we got our. If you're, by the way, I'm RC Helix. If you're new here, I'm the creator of Flux Destiny. This is Ella, our studio manager, and who's head of the RPG and the community. And she's just done an awesome job. She's built the mechanics for Flux Fantasy, and she's just an awesome GM and storyteller altogether. It's like I'm running out of like nice things. Like we'd be here all day. So Ella's awesome. We've
Oh.
got Cam in the chat. Who Cam is our Discord mod, our official Discord mod. So if you have any questions, he'll be dropping links and stuff there for you guys too. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So and then yeah, if you're new, if you don't know what a slice game is, our Flux Fantasy ttrpg is our main RPG based on the Flux Destiny universe, and it's like full-fledged RPG, right? Like dice rolling and everything. It's like a big deal.
Mm.
But then we started developing these no roll RPGs, which don't involve dice, but you can still use your Flux Destiny characters in them. So they're supposed to be more fun and casual and like character exploratory. And so
Mm.
Ellie, you want to tell them a little bit about it and how they can join if they want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So, they're meant to be slice of life. That's the slice
I
part.
wonder if anyone's
They're
picked that up.
slice
I
of
don't know. I felt so
life.
clever with that one. So
No, it's very clever. So they're slice of life games, and they're meant to be like uh ways for you to explore your character in a way that you might not think. You might not find yourself actively thinking about your characters in these sort of more mundane situations. In Flux Fantasy RPG, you're always like running from robots or getting blown up, or all these like crazy things are happening. And so the slice games are meant to sort of be more like text-based role play where you can just kind of hang out, but there's still a story. There's still something, a goal that you have. There's still something that is important to your character that you're trying to uncover. And so that's sort of where Slice was born. It's this in between um the role play stuff and the dice rolling and world ending events that are happening in the RPGs, with something a little bit more mundane. And for a lot of people, they find them, as like RC said, really character driven, which is really important when you're making a character for an RPG, is that they need a lot of backstory. They need things to talk about on the bus ride to the next location. Like, what do you talk about? And the slice of life games are stuff that you can learn to develop your character more deeply instead of just always being in conflict and in the moment all the time. You find yourself able to sort of sit back and relax and actually talk to each other, as characters. And so that was something that we created, while still having a story, or while still like actually exploring something. There's things that you can do in the game, and we've got a whole presentation that I have made that we can kind of go through that will explain a little bit more about the slice game. But that's basically the gist of it, is that you create a character and then you come into a Flux Destiny sort of base situation. Most of them are fun, some of them are a little bit difficult, and you role play, and that's the whole thing. And so they take place in the Discord, which is is a fun way of doing it. I've never really heard about that before, so we're trying it, and I think that we've had a lot of fun and success with it. And the game that we're playing this week is Summer Camp. So it's a big, long event. This one is, I will admit, this one is a little bit bigger than the other ones. The other ones are kind of like, oh, here's a scenario, like go play. This one is a little bit bigger. There's a couple more events, there's a couple more puzzles, there's a little bit more interaction than normal. So if you're getting into the slice games for the first time, don't worry, they're not all like this. Most of them are much more chill. But this one is a summer camp, so we wanted to kind of have this big fun event in the middle of summer. We couldn't let summer go by,
Yeah.
without a summer camp, So this one is kind of like a big one. There's more people now in the game than ever. You're going to be broken into teams. And it's not too late to join. If you still want to join, there's a couple ways you can. You can join through our Patreon, or you can get a slot outright for this week's game. Some clever people might have noticed that the teams are already forming in the Discord. I've already put some people into groups. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But just so you guys know, if you're watching this presentation today and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun, that you're still able to join this week's Slice and the Slice games after that. They're weekly. We do one every week with a new scenario, new groups, new interactions. So each time you get a little bit more that you learn about your character. So that's
You
sort of
know,
the Slice games. They're a lot of fun.
what's really
Yeah,
cool
go
about
ahead.
what's really amazing is like 99% of the people who get into they go week by week. It's like it carries over. And so ever since we
Mm.
started the slice games, everyone just keeps signing up and doing them, and so they're a lot of fun. And so Cam will drop some links in there to, if you on Patreon, the way you get into the slice game is if you join. I believe it's the Universe tier. Is that the one?
Universe tier.
Universe tier.
Hmm.
So if you use the Universe tier, that comes with a Game Pass, and so you can that basically gives you all the slice games for free as part of that during the month. If you want to buy game by game, Cam will also drop in the link that you can buy if you just want to buy this week. This week's pass, you can buy that. So, anyway, so we ready to go through this?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Um, Okay, and don't worry if you're not in a group yet. I haven't set them all up yet. Some I've just started to. So I see in the chat some people are like, "Oh no, I'm not in a group." You'll be in a group, I promise. They're already fleshed out. You're going to be in there soon. Um so yeah, okay. Let's get started. Let's go through this. So we've never had like an official like kind of launch for the slice games. So we just thought that this might be kind of a fun way to kind of we've been doing them for so long, it feels weird to just now like introduce it. You know what I mean? But we wanted to go through and kind of introduce it and give you guys some tips and tricks on if you're nervous about joining the slice games, or if you're new, or if you're an old player and you just want, some more depth to your character for somebody who has written them. Sort of from my point of view, how I think it's best to play these games. Of course, the game is up to you, but here are my tips and tricks on how to join a slice game and to play a slice game. So first thing we'll talk about is a character, right? So that's the thing that you need to play with is a character, and the most important thing is we're going to talk about a couple of things here that you need for your character. And a couple of really easy things. So first, we've got the question is, what do you need, right? Because when you go to the Flux Fantasy RPG, it's kind of big. You've got all this character creation. You think, what do I need just to join a slice game? I'll tell you what you need, and it's really easy. Go into the character creator. You need your name. Obviously, we need to know like what to call you by. And then the most important thing about a slice game is actually your backstory. So where you grew up, who you are, things that kind of helped you get to where you are. You might be a young karmastry user, or you might be somebody who's been in the game for a really long time, so you know a lot about karmastry. That really determines kind of how you interact with other characters. Your backstory is really important. And also, who you know is really important. So, another thing that's is important to know is your powers. And you think, well, I'm not using my powers if it's just a slice game. And you'd be wrong, because karmastry comes up so often in Flux Destiny. You're always using your powers, right? So it's important to kind of understand how your powers work as a character. So things like, how do I use my special abilities? How do I use something that's maybe more mundane, right? Like, it's not always going to be big fights all the time. How do you casually use karmastry if you're somebody like an ink fighter or a special agent? Is using karmastry something that you do in your day to day, or is it something that's sort of more sacred, right? Answering those questions as an OC is really important. So, knowing your powers before going into the slice games is really going to help you, because also, sometimes I ask you in the event how you use your powers, and if you don't know, you're going to be like, "Oh, I don't know how I use my powers here." So, it's just it's going to be more fun for you if you have your powers kind of fleshed out, right? And where you are in your karmistry journey. For example, like, somebody might be 13 or 14. They're probably really young, so maybe their powers are not very good yet, and so it's important to know that when you're going into a slice game, because you're like, you're not going to be the best one out there. You know what I mean? And by the way, this is really important to know. In a slice game, you don't always have to be the best. It's about doing what your character would do. Is your character super good at karmastry? Then go for it. Like, show off, do cool stuff. Is your character a terrible dancer? Then tell people that. If I have a game that's all about dancing, well then, your character's going to be bummed for the whole game, but that's part of it. It's not always going to be, the ups. There's got to be downs too, right? So that's important to know about your powers. What are your limits? How do you do stuff? And then your relationship with other characters is really important, especially in the slice games, because you guys have relationships with each other. The OCs have relationships with each other. There's people who are dating. There's people who are rivals. There are people who don't like each other. There's ink fighters mixed with escape artists, mixed with special agents. There's all of these people grouped into one little group. How do you interact? And so your relationships with each other are super important. And then last but not least is your personality traits. How would your character feel about something? And, the slice games are perfect for kind of figuring that out, but having a good baseline is, important. Now, you might not know, like, oh, my character hates pickles and loves radishes and, hates dirt. You don't have to do all that. But, like, if you get a good sense of, like, oh, my character likes the farm, and then you go to a farm, it's like, well, that's really great for my character, right? And maybe you hate the farm. It's like, oh, well, that's going to be a sucky slice game for my character. So,
Well,
kind of getting a base.
that's actually so. Going back to, I'm glad you said that, because going back to what I said at the very beginning about how this is a chance to explore your character in these slice games without
Mm-hmm.
worry too much about mechanics. That it's really storytelling. It's really important. Something she said. Oh, you may not know if they like pickles or ice cream or what flavor. That's okay. These games help you figure that out because you start
Yes.
interacting as your character, and people ask me like, well, what's Hugo's? I don't know. I remember that I get asked, what's his favorite ice cream? I don't. Like I don't have every detail, and those details come out as I write the story, and as he behaves in the manga, right? And that's the same with you guys when
Mm-hmm.
you make your characters play in the slice games. You're going to have to make decisions, right? Be like, you're going to be asked, what's your favorite ice cream or whatever, and then you're gonna have to make your canon answer right there, which is kind of fun. Secondly, what's kind of fun, like imagine a summer camp. Imagine if your character, you may not have thought of this, but if your character is not someone who likes the outdoors, imagine the cool experiences of them being forced to go out. It's like a fish out of water experience in the story, right?
Exactly.
You put your character in this situation that they normally wouldn't like. They end up going through their own character arc during this story, you know, which is a lot of fun and a lot of character development for you. So there's a lot of fun for it. So don't get too caught up on we're just come in and have fun. That's why these have been so successful, is that everyone is just going in there and having a good time and not, and letting
Yeah.
their characters kind of just flourish and be who they are.
Exactly. And that's a good note too. Um, Something that we talk about a lot is that the games sometimes get kind of deep. A lot of you guys have created characters in which part of yourself or a lot of yourself is represented in your characters. And so sometimes you go through situations that you didn't know were going to hurt so much, or you didn't know were going to, fill you up with so much happiness, right? And there are moments, in the slice games that are really important. But at the end of the day, they're meant to be fun. They're meant for you to explore and do what you want. And you know what? The GM is not really in the game. Like, I watch the games to make sure that they don't get too out of hand, but most of the time what you guys decide to do is what happens. You guys decide to go off on your own and ignore the event for the day. Okay, that's fine. Not what I intended, you know what I mean? But you grew as characters because of that, and so it's super important to just remember the rules and go have fun, because this is, at the end of the day, it's your story, and whatever kind of canon bits you take from that, is up to you. Obviously, not every game can be canon, because you guys do all kinds of crazy stuff in the span of like a week, but some of the events you might take and might live on in your character, right? And so that's really important when you're creating a character. And so all of this to say that it's really easy to join a slice game. You just sort of create a character, and then all of it is text based. It's all day, so you can come in at any time, you can respond at any time. As long as you're just trying to like keep up with the events and the stuff that other people are saying, you're pretty much good to go. So it's really chill, it's really relaxed. I recommend, if you're trying to get a character in and you're like, oh, I don't know if they're ready, they're ready. Just throw them in. You know what I mean? We had, I think Eric threw in a character last week and he was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready, and then had a great time, right? So really, it's just, if you want to join, you should, because you're gonna learn a lot about your character through the slice game, I promise. You're gonna have to think on your feet really quickly, and it will help you develop your character. So if you're looking for like, oh, I need more backstory, I need more, join a slice game, because that's the best way to do it, and you get to interact with all these other characters who are like a part of the world and doing all kinds of cool stuff and know what they're doing and have played other slice games. And so then you can go into the world and kind of like butt up against their awesome characters, right? So if you haven't joined a slice game, you definitely should, because it will help you grow. So that's sort of that part about creating a character. Let's go into the tips about actually playing a slice game. Once you create a character and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go. This is my tips and tricks on how to play a slice game, um, and how to kind of get the best out of your experience in a slice game. So the first thing is events. So events each day, there's one theme for the whole slice game. So like, for example, there was one that was a beach party, right? Everybody went to this party on the beach. And that's kind of the overarching theme of the game. But then each day, the narrator, which is me just putting out these events, will put out an event for the day. Like, oh, this thing happened. Or, hey, all the ice cream ran out and now you guys have to create ice cream for everybody. And you might think, how do I do that? And that's the fun. That's the whole thing, is that I kind of throw wrenches or events into the game to cause you to work as a group or work as individuals or kind of think about your character. You're like, how would my character create a bunch of ice cream for, kids on the beach who are crying really loudly? Do you ignore them? Do you try to help them? What would your character do, right? So that's sort of the fun thing. My advice to you is to interact with the events. A lot of times I will put out an event and it's ignored for a little while, which is totally fine because there are other conversations happening. But my advice to you is to try and engage your conversations into the events, right? Because that's sort of where the story is going. I don't want you to miss out on the events because you're locked in a conversation which could have been integrated. Now, I'm not saying drop everything for the events. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that when you see an event pop up, it's in your best interest to go over and interact with it because it will engage your story further. So that's one of my first advice. My second advice is conversations. So conversations are a big part of the slice game. Um, my suggestion to you is try and interact with each person in your group at least once in a private conversation, in a public conversation. We have this cool thing where you can create threads, in the Discord, and maybe you are having a deep conversation with somebody. Absolutely make a thread, and go in there and document that moment. Because sometimes you get in with groups and the groups change every week. So you don't know, you might not see that person again for a while. You might not see that character for a while. And maybe you do, and maybe you want to interact with them more. So it's always my suggestion to try and engage, even if somebody's your rival, to try and engage with them in a healthy way at least once during the slice. The group events are really good, but try to get on a one-on-one level with everybody. um, my next advice is physical activities versus chill activities. Each slice game is kind of broken into two groups, things that are like physical and things that are more chill. And my advice to you is to try to do both. And if maybe a slice game doesn't have too many, physical activities, then maybe you guys can invent some. You can invent other events that happen that are outside of like what I have written, right? So my advice is always to, like, if you find that you're kind of just locked in a deep conversation for like hours and hours, get up and do something with your characters. Like, hey, let's go tug of war or something, and everybody's like, okay. And kind of have fun with both the physical activities that you have to describe, maybe using karmastry or your bodies or whatever, or a chill activity on the other hand, which is just like, hey, we've been playing volleyball all day, let's go sit and talk. So try and get a good healthy balance of both. That's my advice on activities that you can make up. And then there's the secret objective. Everybody kind of knows this. Spoiler alert, there's not a secret objective for this week's slice because it's such a big one that each group kind of has its own like goal, right? But secret objectives every week I give each individual person a secret objective, which is sort of like a side quest, something that they have to complete before the week ends, and they get kind of a special bonus, at the end of it. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's okay. That's part of the fun. Sometimes somebody else's secret objective is against yours, right? And that's how real life works. Sometimes two people are going after the same goal or somebody's trying to stop you. And it's just sort of a fun way to engage with the story. So my advice, obviously, uh, use your secret objective wisely. Like engage with your objective and try to get it, completed. We've had a lot of people complete their secret objectives and a lot of people who don't. So doing your best there. And you can always ask too if you're confused or something is difficult. It's just sort of like a side quest. They're not meant to ruin the experience. They're just meant to enhance it, in a way that might be fun. Five is karmastry. So I always see that people don't use their karmastry very often in the slice games, which I know is because it's just text based. Like, what am I supposed to do? Use my karmastry all the time? And the answer is yes. You guys are karmastry, types and users and ink fighters and escape artists and special agents. And karmistry isn't always going to be big and flashy. Sometimes it's mundane. Sometimes it's, oh, I levitate that thing to my hand, because it's easier that way. If I had all the power in the world, I would probably use it to cook dinner. You know what I mean? Not necessarily go all superhero on everybody. You know, I'd probably just use it to start a fire or something. So I suggest to you that you use your karmastry more often. Now, not to like beat each other up, but just to do mundane things like, oh, you know, I extend my arm to grab my water bottle. And then it gives you a platform to talk about your abilities, right? Which is really what Flux Destiny is all about. So, and then the last thing is
I was going
threads.
to say,
Obviously,
let me just add one thing real quick
yeah,
to that.
yeah,
Speaking of the karma, the reason the karmastry is so important is that obviously it's the magic system of this universe. But the cool things you can do. Imagine if you are an ink fighter character in this, and you're like in a I don't know canoe race, and you use your sigils to like push the canoe, right? Like there's all sorts of cool stuff to
right.
explore. The different things that your character can do with their karmastry. A lot of people get really caught up with just the big flashy ultimate move, but the real challenge is how do you take your powers and do the mundane things that she's talking about. So imagine your characters, and many of you have like these like OP'd characters, you know, and like they've got like these amazing powers. Imagine them in this context, and they can't, you know, like do a singularity event and blow everyone up. You know, like this is something where you have to like, oh, I need to use gravity and I need to, you know, I don't know, help move logs to start a fire. You know, something like that. It's a lot more fun. I feel like those kind of things really help get you to be creative. At the end of the day, you know, I've heard
Exactly.
a lot of people talk about, you know, being nervous. Obviously, anytime you're going to start something new, it's super nervous, and I get it. We're all there. This is just it's such a super cool group of people, and it's not formal. Like I said, you don't have to worry about this being canon to your character if you don't want to. You know, you can just go have this like what if situation if you don't feel like it's something you want it to be part of your character's future, you know, ongoing canon. You don't have to. This is, you know, it's just for fun. So go ahead, Ellen.
Exactly. Yeah. You said it. No, you said it exactly perfect. Karmastry is a big part of Flux Destiny, and so it should be a big part of your character, you know, especially if you are somebody who uses karmastry and or you're hiding your abilities to use karmastry. That's a big part of who you are, you know, especially for those of you who are going to Wolfgang or are special agents looking for students who are maybe misusing their karmastry. How do you suddenly interact with somebody that you're friends with that they're misusing karmastry, you know, and stuff like that can kind of bring up these awesome questions that you guys have about your character. Does it really matter? Is my friendship or karmastry more important? You know, there's all these questions that come to mind during the slice games. Now, I'm not telling you to get into arguments. Please don't. I'm actually saying don't get into arguments. You know, if you find things getting a little heated, you should always find a way to kind of be like, okay, I'm dropping this, you know, for the sake of the group and the story. You know what I mean? But it's just something interesting to think about. You know, how would my character interact, you know, with these people? And especially with so many different OCs, you know, we've got a lot of people who go to Wolfgang, but a lot of them who don't go to Wolfgang. And even within Wolfgang, there's rivalries and different studies and different groups that you might have formed a clique with some people and some people you don't know very well. So, you know, that's really important kind of as you get going. So, the last thing is threads. This group is going to be very big, and most groups in the slice games are very big, so use the threads wisely. They're a way for you to kind of sneak off into your own little pocket world for a moment and have a moment. Don't overuse them, you know, don't like go away from the group and have your own slice game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you want to have an interaction with somebody, you know, use a thread. If you find that you're the only two talking, go make a thread, you know, because then you kind of have this moment alone. You know, it's not really alone because maybe other people can see it, you know, but it feels like you can kind of have go behind closed doors for a moment and have an interaction, right? And sometimes those can be really important for characters. You know, maybe you need to say something to somebody who's like, hey, my character, I saw you misusing karmastry, like, do you want to talk about it? Hey, I you brought up your background a little bit and I know that's something that's harmful to you, you know, like, do you want to talk? Or maybe you just want to do something silly like do an arm wrestling contest, you know, to see who's the strongest, you know, karmastry user. I don't know. Whatever you want to do, I suggest you use threads as much as you can. It's going to be a little bit more difficult in this game, but I bring it up for future games as well. And then so that's it for my tips and tricks for the slice game. So we've got kind of two more things to go through,
Real quick
and
before we
then
do that,
we'll be off.
yeah, before we do that, let's have. There's two questions that came up. One question was about payback in the game and how payback
Mm,
works. And since this is a no role RPG, and Ella can correct me or she can add to this, but payback in these games is narrative based, meaning you have to, I think you'd have to have in your mind that if your powers are going to pull up payback, because it's since it's an RPG, you're basically a no role RPG. You're writing this story, so it's not really by chance that you're going to trigger payback. You have to decide if you're going to trigger payback based on the power you're using and what impact it's going to have
yep.
on the story. Because maybe your
Yes.
character wants to do something and to trigger pay and not to trigger payback, but you know that payback will happen, and that will have an interesting impact on the game, right? So,
Yep.
so your choice about payback is really up to you when you use your powers in the game. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, you're exactly right. Because the game is sort of up to you. It's up to you and the group to kind of decide stuff. And each group normally has like a behind the scenes where people can kind of talk out of character. So you can always ask, like, hey guys, I want to do something that might cause payback. Is that okay with everybody? Right? It's not just I'm barreling down the highway, full speed. You can stop and be like, hey guys, is everybody okay with this? Right? And yeah, payback is up to you. You'd have to write your way out of it, whether you defeat it or run away from it, or you get your team to help you, or whether you just think maybe it doesn't happen this time for whatever reason. That's completely up to you. And the narrative of your story. And sometimes some things that you're going to do are going to cause consequences. Just because it's a chill game doesn't mean that there's no consequences. You might do something to show off that hurts somebody and hurts them very badly. And then you have to go deal with the consequence of that. Like, hey, I'm sorry my payback monster grabbed you and slashed your arm. How do you go fix that relationship now? These are things that we don't really talk about in the bigger RPG, because you kind of just keep going. And so these are kind of moments of, well, how do I mend a relationship, and stuff like that. So payback's a great way to do that if it's okay with the group, if it's okay to derail like that. And of course, it's up to you, whether or not that actually happens. Because sometimes it's okay to just do cool things and not have payback. Just saying.
It's okay. Yeah, you have to use your common sense when you're doing this. If you're going to use karmastry in a really huge way that would normally trigger payback, I mean, you got to think about that, right? So, but if you're going to like light a fire
Hmm.
or I don't know, do some gravity stuff or whatever, you're going to be fine. You can get away with that. But
Right.
I think other people will also, and you may have the other players in the game see you use your karmastry and go, they may make the call on payback. And they may be like,
Right.
oh, wow, just after that was done, a giant, payback phantom showed up and they made the call on it, based on it. So everyone has to kind of look out for each other on that, on the payback front. The other question
Yep.
was about we had some folks asking if is it too late to change their character before the game starts.
Is it too late to change their character for the slice this week?
Yeah, this.
No, you don't. It's not too late. You can change your character. I have put everybody into teams. So as you're gonna be in the team that you're in. Sorry. Now, to be fair, you're gonna interact with all the players in the game this week. So the teams are kind of just like your group, but you're gonna be able to interact with everybody. You're welcome to change your character. Now, you cannot change your character in the middle of the slice game. That would be a big no-no. But the game hasn't really started yet, so if you're gonna change your character, now's the time to do it. You're absolutely. I want everybody to play as the character that they want. So, by all means, please, you can do this is up to you. I want you guys to have fun. I don't want you to like sit there and be all like, "Oh no, I have to do this." Like this is for fun.
Yeah.
So,
You may go to the next slide.
yeah, let's go to the
I
next
think
slide.
we have two more
So
slides.
this next slide is specifically about this slice game this week. So like I said before, it's summer camp themed. I hope that if you were on the fence about it that you go ahead and decide to join. It's going to be a lot of fun. This one is bigger than normal. bigger than normal. I'm just going to say that right now. Do not expect this level every time. Most of them are a little bit more chill than this. I just wanted this to be a very big event. I was just very excited. I've been holding on to this one literally since the beginning of the summer. I've had this ready since then. So I'm very excited about it. There's going to be lots of puzzles and lots of fun things that you have to do. There's going to be times where you can interact as a group and interact with other teams and interact individually. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys have fun. I want you guys to know outright that it's going to be bigger. So don't feel any pressure. Just go have fun. Just go and do it and have fun, and don't feel like, oh no, I have to complete everything. Just go have fun. They're there. The puzzles, some of the puzzles and stuff are there for you to complete if you want to. Let me just say that. It's a big event, so have fun, interact with your teams. How do I join? Well, there's two ways to join. You can join our Patreon on the 25 tier, which means that you get every slice game. We do slice games every week. So if you're like, oh man, that was really fun, I want to join slice every week, well, now you get to. And we're making a permanent slice room, which will be up probably later this month, early next month. So it's like a perma room you get to be in all the time to role play and all kinds of stuff, and kind of expand those relationships a little bit so they're not just weekly occurrences. You know, you can kind of actually go into depth with certain characters if you want to. And then the other way is that you can get a slot outright. So you can just go into the link that Cam puts, which he's already put, and you could just outright get a slice game, you know, and you could say, I just want to try this one. I just want to dip my toes in. You can do that too, and you'll still get in the game just fine.
And
So
Cam
first
will drop
steps.
that. Cam will drop that link too. That's a separate. So the Patreon one is if you want to get the Game Pass and you want to keep doing it, and then the other one
Mm-hmm.
that Cam just dropped there, the play.fluxfantasy.com/slice. That's where you can buy a one-time pass for the week. And some people do that. Some people buy every week a pass. If you do the Patreon
Mm-hmm.
version, if you buy the Game Pass on Patreon monthly, you not only save a few bucks by doing that, but you get all these other things that come with it too. So it just depends on what you want to do. So those are the two options for it.
Yeah, we wanted a way for people, if they wanted to dip their toes in, they could just try it. It's totally fine. But otherwise, your best option is to join Patreon because you get a lot of other stuff, and it's really worth it, I promise. Because then you don't have to pay for it every week. And then the first step is I've already put everybody who joined into groups. So I'm going to kind of drop them into a room so that they can start thinking about their team names. And then as the week goes on, it will officially start tomorrow. So if you still want to join, you still can. They're gonna start thinking about team names, and then tomorrow all of the channels will open like officially. So how the slice games work, they're 24/7. Well, 24/5, I guess, not 7. They're 24/5, so that means the rooms are open all night. They're open all day. You just go in and interact when you can, and then you go back to work or school or drawing or whatever you want to do on the side, and then kind of come in and out of the game. You don't have to be in there and answer every question or, you know, interact with every comment that comes through. You just kind of go in, you do your thing, and then you leave, and then you come back a little bit later and see how things have progressed, you know? So don't feel overwhelmed. If a lot of stuff has happened, just jump back in. It's no big deal, right? We've had people who are gone for days, you know, and they're like, oh, I missed a couple of days, and then they just jump back in. And it's totally fine. It's meant to be chill and fun and just sort of as you can, you know. So if you're like, oh man, I'm so busy, like, is everybody going to be okay with that? Yeah, they're going to bring you along. They're going to love when you come back, and they're going to miss you when you're gone, but it's okay. You know, you can go and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
So,
it's not meant to be homework or whatever. It's meant to be fun. So you
no.
interact as much as you want. There's no penalty.
Yeah.
The only penalty is that you're just kind of missing
Mm-hmm.
out on the activity if you don't um, if you don't do that. But otherwise, it's like it's not homework. You don't need to think of it that way. And it's not like any of those. If you've ever been
Right.
to any of those um, like corporate seminars and stuff where they like force you to be like in everything. No, it's like nothing like that. So
Right.
don't worry. Just have a good time with it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all optional. It's as much fun as you want to have, right? We set it up, we put the events out, and then at the end of the day, it's what you want to do. You're literally creating a story with your friends, right? And so as much fun as you want to have, that's as much fun as you're going to get out of it, you know? So I hope that you have fun with the events that I have set up. I'm really proud of these. I have been tormenting Cam and RC with my riddles all week, and so now I'm gonna put them into action. Not against is the wrong word, but I guess I'll use it against you now. And so everything is optional though. Just remember that everything is supposed to just be for fun and is meant to just engage your brain a little bit with your OC. So all right. So with all that being said, I think we're ready for the kind of the big announcement, which is um our merch drop for the week, our limited edition just for this week only, our merch drop. Um so yeah,
I showed it's
RC,
up.
I don't know.
It did. I turned it. It takes
No,
her.
it's good.
Yeah, it's up there now.
No,
So
I was saying if you wanted to do it, but
I
if
thought
you
you were
don't,
waiting. Well,
no.
let me, yeah, so I'll say it. So what we decided was that we were going to do was we thought, it would be really cool to have these like shirts that you could, it's almost like you go to summer camp, you go through this whole experience, and so many people who are playing the Slice games have so much fun with them that they leave and they keep talking about the events afterward. And it's kind of
Mm.
like going to real summer camp, or like, when you go to school and you get your yearbook. And we're like, what can they leave with something like this? And we said, okay, what if we had, Ella was like, let's make T-shirts for the event. So there's a T-shirt, there's a limited edition. It's just for this Slice game. These particular shirts, there's two versions. You can buy one that's like just the standard one, or you can get it customized with your character's name and your, was the team name? It was just the character's name, right, on it.
It's
So
character's name and a number of your choosing.
exactly.
Yeah, so it's like a jersey for your OC because you guys have OCs, and we know that you like to play the Slice games. So these are kind of like your team jersey with your OC, basically to be like, I'm Team Flux Destiny. And so there's obviously the basic ones, but then there's ones that you customize with your character's name, which we thought was really cool. And you don't have to be in the Slice game to get it. If you're like, nah, on the Slice game, but you still want to get a shirt with your OC's name on it, or your name, I guess. If you really want to just be Team Flux Destiny in real life, you could do that too. That's totally fine. I'm sure that's what RC is gonna do, instead. So these shirts are, they're for you, but they're for your OC too. If you want your OC's name on it or your name, they're customizable.
And you
So,
can pick between blue
um,
and red. We have different types. This is the front and back right here. But like I said, the front the customizable version, you would have your number in the front and your character's name on
mhm.
the back. So the 0 zeros there are replaced by your number. Those are just placeholders. And obviously that's a little
And
tricky.
they come in red and blue. Yeah, they come in red and blue, which they're pretty cool. They're high quality, like the shirt I'm wearing. So they're like the streetwear shirt. Um, and once you get one, so there's the PayPal link, and once you get one, we'll like go through and we'll get your like size and your information for shipping and all that kind of stuff. Yada 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 afterwards. But we didn't want you to have to like go through a whole type form right now. Like we'll get it at the end. So this is just a fun way for like you to go through the summer camp, and you can kind of get something to memorialize it. Like this is a special kind of camp. There's more people in the Slice than ever before, and I hope that some of you guys get your OCs on the back. I really want to see them. I really want to see your character's name. I want to see pictures. Like I'm like really kind of geeking out, and maybe some of you guys can get matching ones, like with your
Oh my
names. Oh
gosh.
my god! Oh my gosh! I'm not thinking about anybody in particular,
She was on the
but
verge of
you
squealing.
know,
She was almost
yeah,
squealing.
I'm just like, that's
That's
as close as
super.
you're ever gonna get for me
She's,
to
you
like
don't understand.
squeal.
Like she's like acting all like professional and whatever, but she loves this. She loves all this
I
character
think it's
interactions.
really cute.
Super cute.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
love it so much.
that's awesome. So
So anyway, so that's the whole thing. I'm gonna put the groups now, into little rooms so that they can pick their team names, and then the official Slice will start tomorrow morning like usual, and then it'll go the whole week through Friday. And don't worry if you missed out on this Slice. We do them every week, although not quite as big as this, but we do them every week. So if you think, gosh, I just can't do it this week, don't worry, we're gonna do another one next week. So I the shirts will stop going on sale probably Friday or Saturday. at the end of this week. We're not going to be too super strict with it. If you're like, hey, I don't get paid till Saturday, we'll keep it open for a little bit. But after this week, they'll be gone. So this is limited just to this week, as kind of a way to have some summer fun and to do something that's really special, just kind of for this slice. So that's it. That's the whole thing. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope you got some tips and tricks out of this and you're intrigued, by the slice games and by this sort of RPG game that we've made up and have some fun with it. For those of you who have joined the slice games every week, thank you so much. I am blown away by how much you guys like these. I thought, oh, I'll write something fun and I'll throw it out there and we'll see if it works. And your enthusiasm for it has sparked a lot of creativity in me, and I really enjoy making these. And I really enjoyed making this one, so I hope that you like it. And thank you guys for joining. So that's it. That's what I have to
All
say.
right, go join. The links are, and if you don't know the links, I guess what we could do is, Cam will paste them one more time here in the chat. Are they in the description of this video? The links? I don't.
Some of them are, yeah.
Okay, some of them. If you're not, we will probably put them up. Oh, you know what we'll do? We need to probably put them up in the link tree. So
yeah, they'll be in the Discord. We'll make an announcement about it. And they'll be on the feature shop as well. But you can always just let me know if you're missing a link. Just message me or Cam and we'll put it up right away. So
last thing I'll say is that
yeah.
The cool thing is that if you just get a slide. So normally our Discord, to get into our Discord server, you have to either be on Patreon or have bought something. We always have like, if we try to like keep the door closed so that it's like just serious people coming in who want to have a good time in the community and not just like every random person. So if you buy a slice game, you don't have to be on Patreon. If you buy one and you're not on the Discord, let us know and we will get you into the server.
Well, you gotta, because then you're in the slice game. Yeah.
And you're in the slice, obviously.
You found a loophole.
Right, you found a loophole. So, anyways, well, Ella, thank you so much for putting all this together, and
of course,
everyone's super excited. I can't wait to see how all this goes. And Cam, thanks for handling the back end there and getting the links to everyone. If you have any questions, DM Ella or Cam, and we'll get you guys set up. So we're excited to see kick off summer camp, and it starts tomorrow.
It starts officially tomorrow. I'm going to put some of the groups together tonight so that they can start thinking about their team name. But then, yeah, it starts officially tomorrow.
All right. You guys have a good time. I can't wait to see what happens. Go tell stories. Go do some fun stuff with your characters. We'll talk to you guys later.
Aww.
Good night.
Bye.